It is part of the way the world is. I mean, we can say, if God is perfectly good and all-powerful, why is there suffering in this world? As if it's God's fault, but that's the wrong question. That's not going to solve anything. There is a better question, and it is, as there is suffering in this world, how can we overcome it? Now, some would say just accept it. Yeah, maybe. Some would say deny it exists, which is not great. And some would say blame others for it, which again is not great either. But I would say together, let's try and help each other find hope through it. Now, a guy called John Swinton, in a book called Raging with Compassion, uses the phrase gestures of redemption to suggest how we deal with suffering and evil. Let me explain. Redemption is when we take what is bad and turn it into good. And a gesture is a form of communication that indicates something. These are all gestures. They indicate something, a sign. Viktor Frankl was a prisoner of war in a Nazi German prison camp. And he tells a story of where he witnessed men who were starving, emaciated, with just one piece of bread. And yet they gave that last piece of bread away. Why would you do this when you're starving? Well, it was a gesture of redemption. It was saying to the person who had received the bread, there is still kindness and goodness in this world, despite the cruelty of our prison guards. It was also saying that in the face of suffering, it was still possible to somehow resist, to put two fingers up to it, to say suffering is not going to have the last laugh. Giving a piece of bread away was a gesture of a better world to come where suffering would be no more. It was also a gesture to say that out of suffering, hope can still arise to beat hopelessness. So there is some wisdom in accepting the suffering that we face, but there's also wisdom in fighting against it, looking beyond it, not letting it define you, saying it will not beat me up, screw me up, or make me less of a person than I really am. So what could be your gesture if you're suffering today? What could you do to make sure your suffering doesn't define you?